Hey, boys and girls, Miss Coconauer here with our star, Lucy the Axolotl. Today, for Readalotl time, we're going to read the story called The Great Smoky Mountain Salamander Ball by Lisa Hortzman. On top of the car roof, the camping gear was stacked, and into the car with their suitcases packed went both Sarah's parents, with Sarah there too. They had places to go. They had fun things to do. Sarah wiggled and squiggled inside the big car and asked, "Are we there yet?" because it seemed so far. They were bound for the Smokies, that wonderful spot where hikes would be hiked and fish would be caught. Once in the Smokies, the days went by fast, with hiking and swimming and fishing lines cast. Sarah learned lots about mountains and trees, why some trees have needles, why some trees have leaves. The mountains and Sarah were no longer strangers. She joined the ranks of the park's junior rangers. She'd worked hard to earn a nice shiny badge awarded to her by Park Ranger Madge. Picking up litter had been quite a chore. Hiking was tough, though she liked to explore. But she knew of one kid who cheated and lied. He bragged about hiking. He'd not even tried. And that isn't all. There was more, Sarah knew. He's not just a liar, but a big bully too. He yanked off the tail of a little red newt before it escaped and hid under a root. Then came the night. Sarah just couldn't sleep. Dreams wouldn't come, so she tried to count sheep, till she heard a strange noise and peeked from her tent and sneaked through the darkness with no one's consent. Poking through the trees, she came to a hollow. She saw tiny footprints and started to follow. Crunch! She looked down. A small piece of paper. There in the dark, it had almost escaped her. It seemed to be some kind of fine invitation, of which Sarah studied with great fascination. She held it up close to the eyes in her head and started to read it. And here's what it said. To salamanders big, to salamanders small, come one, come all, to the salamander ball. We'll have a big party, yes, this much is true, with feasting and dancing and playing games too. What she saw, she couldn't resist. She just had to follow, for there in the mist, salamanders busily heeding the call to where she now knew the salamander ball. They all reached a clearing on top of a mountain, and someone yelled loudly, "A ball's to be startin'." A small band of crickets then started to play as the guests wandered in on a fancy pathway. Bender marched in with great zest, with plans to win big in the ugly contest. Next came a pygmy, the smallest of small. He took a high place, it made him look tall. The zigzaggy salamanders and all zigged in time to the beat of a drummer while standing in line. Behind them the red cheeks swayed to the band, admiring their blushes to see whose was grand. The mud salamander bathed just for the occasion and found a dance partner without much persuasion. On went the dancing, they all kept time well. They Roomba'd and cha-cha'd and polka pell-mell. They moved up the mountain in pack after pack. Now there were so many that Sarah lost track. So many colors and so many sizes, so many talents, all hoping for prizes. Laughing and watching from her hiding spot, Sarah saw weird things until she got caught. Two alert newts called out, "It's a spy!" Sarah stopped laughing and tried not to cry. Everyone froze. This was not a good thing. The salamander ball was a top secret fling. They circled around her and grumbled and glared. They all moved in closer, and Sarah got scared. To do now, yelled a voice above all. No human has been to our salamander ball. It's ruined for sure. Forget having more. The ball would be crowded with humans galore. Sarah was sorry that she spoiled their fun, and just when their party had barely begun. But then someone called amid the uproar, "Let's make this girl an ambassador," but sounds better with the way of the writing of the book. So they're going to make her an ambassador. "What's that?" they all muttered, craning their heads, as up stepped Simon, blushing bright red. He was a true leader, somewhat of a brain. They all stopped to listen. He began to explain. "Ambassadors help us to see wrong from right. They help keep the peace instead of a fight. She'd be the one to teach the human race to respect salamanders and our Smoky Mountain place." They all stared at Sarah, and what could she do? Ambassador she'd be, and a diplomat too. So now it was time for some grand lecturing on 2 golden rules of salamandering. Rule number 1, began Simon right off. "Put back that salamander before you take off. His home is in the Smokies and not home with you. He's happiest here. And the weather's right too." And rule number 2 should never be broken, one to be remembered long after I've spoken. The Great Smoky Mountains have been home since creation, so please treat them kindly when you're here on vacation. They all gave a ribbon that made her proud-hearted. The music began and the party restarted. A race for the fastest began with a shout, and a prize for the best spots was then given out. Near one clump of trees, a scary movie was shown of a salamander chased by a boy just half grown. That kid was just curious and needed to know, if a tail gets yanked off, will another one grow? Then trumpets blasted, a pageant took place to decide which contestant was fairest of face. Not to be missed was a fine diving show, making all in the crowd shout, "Magnifico!" The party went onward throughout the dark night, and Sarah fought sleep off. But try as she might, her eyes soon grew heavy. She dropped off to sleep and went off to dreamland without counting sheep. Just think, if this story had happened to you, was it simply a dream? Or was it all true? Well, Sarah grew up and now she's a ranger. She protects salamanders from possible danger. So maybe she dreamed it, but then maybe not. What matters the most is what she was taught. And maybe, just maybe, if you make a request, she'll tell you about that Salamander Fest. And if Sarah likes you, she'll show you the badge awarded to her by Park Ranger Madge. But look very close. There's a little bit more. A ribbon attached reads Ambassador. Or Ambassador. Have you seen us? Okay, so what a great reading. I love this book. One of my favorites. It does come with some facts and shows you a lot of different salamanders you might see in the Appalachian Mountains or the Smoky Mountains. So the Smoky Mountains is the salamander capital of the world. Inside this book, you will follow Sarah on a camping trip, right? And we did that. And it shows the salamander ball. And there are over 27 species of salamanders that live in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. That's amazing. So that is a little bit more about this book. And another fact is that the Appalachian Mountains actually has one of the most diverse populations of salamanders in the entire world, which is incredible. So here's a couple of those. All right, I'm going to pause Miss Lucy and let's get us where you can see me more. Okay. All right, and here's a couple of the salamanders you might run into if you're critter catching in the Great Smoky Mountains or Georgia or anywhere near the Appalachian Mountains. There's that pygmy salamander, a zigzag salamander, a black chin red salamander. Here's the hellbender on my bucket list of salamanders I would love to catch or just see in the wild. I don't even have to catch it. I just want to see one in the wild. And then, let's see. This is my little boy, Gabe, one of his favorite, and it's a long-tailed salamander. And they have the longest tail. We've caught a couple of those. And then Nate likes the three-line salamander. So these are all just a few species you might see. Well, I hope you enjoyed, friends. Thanks for coming to Readalotl time with Lucy, the axolotl. Hope you all have a wonderful day. See you next time. Bye.